Hi everyone, my name is Ascanio Pignatelli, President and Co-founder of E3 Solutions, and today we're going to talk a little bit about core self-evaluations. Now, according to several studies that are coming out of a branch of psychology, industrial organizational psychology, known as core self-evaluation theory, the fundamental judgments we make about our worthiness, about our competence, about our capabilities are directly responsible for how satisfied we are with our job and also how well we perform that job. Now, core self evaluation is a personality trait and it's responsible for our temperament, our overall well being, and the thoughts that we have about our situation. For example, how satisfied we are with our jobs, how much we enjoy what we do, and it's also a key driver of our behavior and will dictate how well we perform our job or whatever it is that we're doing. Now, those with high core self evaluations are usually more positive and confident in their abilities. They're more satisfied with their jobs and they perform them extremely well. On the other hand, those with low core self evaluations lack confidence. They view things negatively, have lower energy, and generally aren't as satisfied with their jobs, and as a result, they perform them poorly. Now, the good news is that core self evaluations can be easily assessed and in the right environments can actually be increased. Now, there are four dimensions or four personality traits that comprise core self evaluations, and the first is locus of control. Locus of control basically means the position or where success is determined. Does it come from within or does it come from outside? So, what's responsible for your success? Is it you or is it forces outside of your control? So you want to think about that and you want to ask yourself which of your teammates or employees attributes their success to their own doing and which attribute their success to forces outside of their control. Now, two kinds of people. There are internals that believe they are the source of their success, and there are externals that believe that's outside of their control. So internals believe they control their futures, and so they're more satisfied with their work, and they generally perform their work better. Externals, on the other hand, are more deterministic or believe in fate or destiny. They're less satisfied with their work, and they perform it a lot worse than those that have an internal locus of control. Let's now look at the second of the four traits, neuroticism. And neuroticism is basically the opposite of emotional intelligence. So as we all know, emotional intelligence is a key factor in performance. It's a key trait in great leaders. And for those that have socially oriented tasks like managing teams or motivating others, really need high degrees of emotional intelligence. And you want to think about that for a second. You want to ask yourself, do any of my employees ever get anxious, angry, or depressed? Because emotionally unstable workers have a tendency to react rather than respond to their circumstances. And they easily experience unpleasant emotions when they get stressed. Now, what happens when we get stressed is that besides adopting a very negative attitude, our thinking gets clouded and our judgment, our ability to make sound judgments is impeded. And so we're no longer to make effective decision making. Emotionally, those with low degrees of emotional intelligence or high neuroticism are less stable and far more prone to anxiety, depression, and despair. And because of their low levels of EQ or high levels of neuroticism, their ability to connect with others and to understand and influence them is seriously impaired. Now, if you're in a leadership position or in management or the C-suite, your need for emotional stability is even more important because you're the face of the organization and you set the tone for your employee morale. Fortunately, Emotional intelligence is not fixed, and it can be elevated with some cognitive behavioral coaching. Let's now look at the third of the core self-evaluation traits, self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is the personality trait responsible for how likely we are to succeed with our current goals and tasks, or take on a challenging assignment, or just to write it off simply as being impossible. So if you've ever wondered how likely, what's responsible for you succeeding or failing in a diet or a workout program, that's self-efficacy. Now, employees with high self-efficacy are more determined and more persistent when dealing with adversity, and more likely to welcome new challenges as opportunities for growth. They're also more likely to succeed with new tasks and challenges. And the greater a person's belief in their own power to influence an outcome, then the more likely they are to succeed with any new challenge. Now let's look at the final trait for core self-evaluations, self-esteem. And we all know what self-esteem is. Basically, it's the approval we have of ourselves and the extent to which we see ourselves as capable, as significant, successful, and worthy. It's one of the most essential of the core self-evaluation domains because it's the overall value we place on ourselves as human beings. And the productivity of workers with low self-esteem is often low because of their indecisiveness, their fear of looking bad or making mistakes or striving for perfection. And often their performance suffers and leads to frustration, which perpetuates that vicious cycle. Generally speaking, employees with low self-esteem are more irritable and pessimistic than those with high self-esteem, and will actually drain the positive, enthusiastic energy of their more self-assured colleagues. As a result, those with low self-esteem are more likely to be unsatisfied with their jobs, perform them considerably worse, and generally be more unsatisfied than those with higher self-esteem. Alright, so bottom line is, employees with high CSE or core self-evaluation levels are not only more satisfied with their jobs and perform them better, they're also more confident, more motivated, more enthusiastic about their work, and more excited about taking on opportunities or challenges that they will see as opportunities. They're also less stressed. They have less stress. They have less conflict. They cope more effectively with setbacks, and they're basically much better at dealing or capitalizing on opportunities. So, assessing for locus of control, neuroticism, self-efficacy, and self-esteem will give you a lot of insight into how to better engage, influence, empower, and motivate your employees. So you want to start raising your core self-evaluation now by joining our private Facebook page. This isn't a fan page, it's a group. And so you will want to basically go to Facebook and type in core self-evaluations, and you'll find us and ask to join our group. You can also visit our website, which is listed at the bottom there, www.e3.solutions. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and keep a lookout for upcoming presentations that will deal with how to raise your core self-evaluation or the CSE levels of those around you. Thanks so much and have a good one. Bye-bye.